someone helped me get out of my domestic violence relationship. And at that point, I started my healing process, and it was a journey. Forgiving was one of the biggest challenges for me. But I remember my mother telling me, in order for God to forgive you, you have to forgive. I couldn't stand to hear his name. It gave me the creeps. I went through all of that stuff. And it wasn't until I was a military wife, and it wasn't until I moved back to this part of Georgia, I connected with a publicist at the time. And the publicist said to me, before I work with you, you need to really submit yourself to God and ask him, what is your purpose? And I did just that. And the tears was rolling down my face, and I said, God, I said, I survived. I said, I healed. You kept me. What is it that you want me to do? And that's when Scars of Survival was founded. And ever since 2016, I've been partnered with the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I helped a lot of families, not just in Georgia, but globally. I've done some training and some everything else. And I'm pretty much the go-to when it comes to domestic violence. A lot of people come to me for all different kinds of things, but I'm forever grateful that God kept me and I was able to go through that journey. And now I'm able to help others to survive and thrive, and that's my mission, to help victims to survive, heal, and thrive.
Okay, well, I'm Teresa Wright Johnson again, and I'm going to say, I, as a young person, attended Georgia State, and I got engaged in a relationship very early on, because in my belief system, you get with one person, you create a relationship, all those things, and I was very young, so I didn't really know what a healthy relationship looked like. So one of the reasons that I started advocating is because as a young person, I didn't realize some of the signs of abuse, and some of those signs were not physical. So it was just very much controlling. Like y'all don't know this back because y'all were young, but I had a pager and a cell phone at the same time that my ex gave me, and he would page and call me like, where are you at? Where are you all the time? I didn't understand that, but that eventually turned into some verbal abuse and then physical abuse. Not only that, being able to write this article this past month really made me dig deep in, and I realized that in my family, in my history, domestic violence is generational. So I actually experienced being around domestic violence when I was a child. I left the situation very early because my mother got out, but I might have normalized some of it. Then I'm going to lastly say, I'm a B.U.S girl to the peach. That means I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up and graduated high school in Decatur, so I'm a little bit, spunkier. So I thought that since I was fighting him back, that it was not domestic violence, until one day I realized, he's a little stronger than me. He's doing some other things to me, and I was self-talking in my head. So maybe in early 2010-ish or so, unfortunately, I lost a child. That child passed away due to special needs. She had a seizure. And God showed me that was closure, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I was staying in that relationship because I didn't want to be a single mother to my children. I didn't want my children, my daughter with special needs, to, who else is going to want a parent that has two children and one having special needs? And I also had another young child at the time. And so, needless to say, I met a new guy. And I ended up getting with him, and all those things of not having that person, I had somebody that really supported and loved me and let me be who I am. But at the end of the day, I was able to forgive that other person. Now, when I was able to tell him I forgave him, I said, where did that come from, God? That was closure. But I went to get a lot of help and counseling for myself. And so I want to tell other women that, domestic violence looks different for different people. He was not beating me up, baby. He had some problems where he had to go to the hospital a few times. So then now I'm becoming an abuser. So also we need to be mindful of that, getting out of situations that will put us in jeopardy of maybe losing our freedom, or some of us, if we have children, their freedom. So that's why I became a domestic violence victim, because I am not a victim. I have victory over domestic violence.
So for me, why I became an advocate was in the fact that Growing up as a child, I witnessed my mother go through a lot of domestic abuse from my father. And she stayed, and she went through the trials and tribulations of it. And just like you said, looking at that and going into that, I kind of normalized some of those things. And then as I grew older, going into situationships, as you can say, those situations kind of left me in those same positions. And for me, I became an advocate because I wanted to use my voice to talk about it, to express that, men do go through domestic violence as well. Abuse is abuse all the way around, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, it's still abuse. Whether it's even sexual, it's still abuse. I've also been through sexual violence, sexual domestic violence, and things of that nature, and sexual abuse, and it's tough, going through your traumas and trying to battle those traumas and just trying to cope with those traumas can really take a toll on you. So it took me a while to really use my voice to talk about it because I didn't want to feel judged. Sometimes as being a survivor, you feel judged, you feel victimized, you feel you don't want people to mistreat you, or because now they know your situation, they might try you as well. And so for me, I was one of the ones who were just kind of shy away from it because I didn't really want to talk about it. But thanks to Miss Savia, and Stars Bible and her magazine, she helped me to open up about it, and to work through my trauma. And so that way I can help others work through their trauma, notice the signs, notice the red flags, and move forward with their life and their healing journey. So that's when we want to become an advocate.
Mine stems from childhood. 5 years old. It was the first time I was assaulted by an older woman. And I was taken out of my secret bag in a place where I was supposed to be safe. She took me into an office and nobody came to save me. And after that, I was 8 years old. And I was 9 years old. And I was 10 years old. All by older women who were supposed to be my protectors, safe, help. I never wanted to feel that feeling again. When I got older, I got stronger, I got bigger, and I got into celebrity bodyguarding. I got into positions that I was responsible for other people's safety. And in those positions, guarding some of your favorite celebrities, I saw what they were like behind the scenes, and where I lost gigs and I lost situations because I intervened on the behalf of somebody else who couldn't protect themselves. And I never wanted to feel that feeling for me, and I never wanted anybody else who was associated with me to feel that feeling. So our program was not just geared towards men being protectors, but it was geared towards women learning how to protect themselves, and children how to protect themselves. I can't stand the bully. I can't stand somebody who takes advantage of somebody who picks on you because they're weaker. That's where our community has to come in. And I wanted to create something where we made the community responsible, where we as men were visualizations of protectors, providers, and we were the stats that were set up to be that boundary to keep everybody within that safe. So that's where mine came from, because I never want anybody to feel that feeling of I'm alone and I gotta suffer. I gotta keep suffering. And that's a hell of a feeling to feel. So being 5 years old, having that in my brain, it's that feeling that nobody came to get me. Never want that again. So that's where it started from.
So my question for y'all is, how would you advise college students? What are some red flags that we can look for that might not be so obvious to us?
From talking to college students, I had college students myself, and then I've done a lot of youth training in regards to teen dating violence. And one of the things is, one of my youth brought up to me manipulation. We're not teaching children about being manipulated and what manipulation is. And so I love what the instructor told y'all earlier, especially girls, right? So emotional, right? Sometimes we're very emotionally connected, and the things people say to us, we believe what they say. And one thing that I always have admired that my dad taught me was, and what you just said about men, real men, okay, I'm gonna tell y'all that. But my dad told me, when you're dealing with men, Watch what they do, not what they say. And so one of the things I loved about my husband now, he told me, I'm not someone that's selling you dreams. If it seems too good, that mouth, all that information, what they're saying versus their actions and what they're doing, be mindful of that. And even as a mother, that's the one thing I didn't teach one of my children, because I never thought about manipulation. So y'all are constantly being manipulated, period, point blank, because you're on social media and everybody's selling a damn dream. So stop believing what you see and hear all the time and look for the clues and the facts. And then we have girls in here. A man is supposed to be a protector and a provider, right? And I tell my husband all the time, we were driving somewhere, I always feel safe. It's not a time I don't feel safe when I'm with him. If it was one of our daughters, one of them, no, it's gonna be some problems possibly if something happens, you know? So just those things, that's what I would tell you. And remember, you are valued. Y'all don't need anybody else to tell you your value. I love when the instructor told y'all about clothing too. Right, if you look like a H-E-O-E, they're gonna think you an H-E-O-E. So if somebody is coming up to you and touching you and feeling you, how are you demonstrating yourselves? That's very important, because then they do possibly, I remember my husband telling one of the girls one day, they were just going out to take the trash out. He said, a man does not see you as a little girl. He sees you as a woman with that one. Cover yourselves up. Cover yourselves up. There's a time and a place for everything. But remember your value and your worth. And then stuff like this, I can show you. Years ago, I was walking home with one of my daughters, and we were walking at the time, because I'm a domestic violence victim that left everything when I left my ex-husband. I had nothing. I was riding the bus and riding the train, and I was walking with one of my daughters who happens to be in the room, and I remember she was a little girl, and I said, "Is somebody behind us?" I took a stick, and I showed her how to stab someone in the jugular with a stick. Y'all need to learn how to, self-defense is important. Because it might not be someone that's out to hurt you that is a domestic partner, but when somebody comes in the house, learn how to use things that you have. Use your technology. Instead of being on there looking at makeup routines, go on there and learn about some self-defense things to help you. So that's what I would tell you. Don't be manipulated. Understand what manipulation is. Don't let people sell you dreams. You know what a dream is. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right? And then learn how to defend yourself. My husband, now, he don't even play fight with me. He be like, we don't play fight because you get too wild. Because I know how to defend myself, and I'm so very glad that I am. Like, I parked my car somewhere, and it got on the train. I'm not worried about walking down the street, because baby, I got you. What you got? You know? So just make sure you take care of yourself. My child is laughing at me off, but she knows it's true.
I would say, listen for the jokes. Listen for the jokes. People tell you truth and jokes. Listen for them. Listen for them. Listen to what they find funny. Listen to it. It's not for everybody, but keep it in the back of your mind. Kind of say, okay, where is this going? Okay. How do they treat their mother? It's important. How do they treat their mother? How do they talk about their mother? This is important. Do they have a relationship with God? These are all the things that you need to have laid out when you're dealing with these young men. Because a man who doesn't have anything to answer to is a reckless man. A man that does not have order in his steps is a reckless, chaotic man. A man that does not have God first can never lead you anywhere. So these are the things that as young women that you need to have. Okay, what's happening with you? What's going on? Do you believe in a higher power? These are all things that you need to really assess. Because if he has something that is motivating him that is going to lead you or lead you not to glory, you need to get off that train. Because eventually he's going to try to find ways to control and mechanisms to control. And it may just start out with simple words. And once those words don't reach you the way he wants them to, it's going to increase to other things. And before you know it, you're locked into a situation with somebody who's bigger, stronger, and they have a motive now. And it's just a matter of time until he takes it too far to where you can't recover. There's too many sisters in the grave, too many women in the grave because they thought it would get better. Don't allow a man to tell you, well, my stress made me do it. My stress made me do it. Now, I will tell you on the flip of this. I tell my daughter, I mean this when I say it. Do not allow your emotion to take you into the place of the abuser. Do not allow your emotion to take you into a place where this man's world. Men, and I'm going to give you ladies this. I got to give you this because most people don't talk to y'all real. I'm going to talk to you real. Men, we listen to words, and words can motivate us to commit levels of violence. What do I mean by that? If men get into arguments, there's certain things we say and don't say to each other. A woman can say that, and you'll respect or you'll expect a response that a woman would give. I'm not condoning, but I want you to understand the thought process of men. So, what do I mean? You're upset, you're emotional. You start calling him B, this, and something like this, and all, and that's how you're talking to a man. Men take that as challenges. Then you say, okay, I want to punch him. I'm going to hit him. He make me mad. He ain't going to do nothing back. Don't put yourself in that position. Have enough restraint, enough control to sit back and be the woman that you are. Your power is in your femininity. Don't become masculine to match that energy. Don't do that because you're going to take yourself out of place. Stay in your femininity because there's power in it. There's truth in it, and you can survive it. So, you get into confrontation. The situation starts going left or right. Give him nothing. Give him nothing. He's yelling, he's irate, give him nothing. You're right, baby. You're right. But in your mind, exit strategy, exit strategy, exit strategy. Do you understand? Don't match energy. Men, when we get to that mode, next thing we want to fight. We want to fight. That's our nature. And sometimes you ever talk to these punks when they get into that mode and he's a woman beater, this, that, and the third. Guess what? Chances are he's not going to do that with a man. He's not going to do that with a man. So he's going to take out whatever frustration he has being in his weak body self. He's going to take it out on you because you're a weaker vessel. Well, show your strength in your femininity and don't give him that power.
Would y'all like to answer, or you want to go to the next question?
I would say for me, I was going to say just self-defense, because that's what would help save me. Because my abuse almost killed me basically. So for me, being knowing like those, like you was talking about earlier about those pressure points and things of that nature, that's what saved me, gave me enough time to run away, to get somebody to help me out of a situation because I'm being chased with a gun, somebody trying to shoot me with a rifle. And just being very aware, like you said, being intuitive of what's going on. You start learning different things and knowing stuff is different and stuff starting to change. And if you are in a situation like that, like me and Seth talk about all the time, find your non-judgmental ear. That's somebody that can listen to you, somebody that can basically sort those emotions out with you, somebody that can go through this situation with you. That way they can help you find that exit strategy to get out of that situation before it is too late. Because as we see on social media every day, somebody is getting dismembered, somebody is finding bodies in the back of cars. People are going through these trials and tribulations. You have mother and son duos, taking people out and stuff of that nature. And so before it gets too late, please talk to somebody. Please find that listening ear. Find you a group as y'all have right now, and find a group, find somebody you can talk to because it's real, And so before you lose your life, we'd rather save your life than lose your life. We need you here. You're important. You bring something to the world. So please, if anything, just find that ear or find you like that exit plan before it is too late.
I want to add something to it too. Being pushy. That's another sign. They're constantly pushing you to do something you don't want to do. That's one sign. Another thing too is continuously asking you, if you tell them, oh, I'm going with my sister tonight, we're going to the movies, or I'm going with my family, and they're continuously asking, well, why why you gotta go with your sister tonight? Why you gotta go with your family? It's always that kind of question. That's the beginning sign of control. So pay attention to the red flag. That's a red flag that a lot of people don't pay attention to, but it's existing. Another thing, ladies and even gents, if you decide to date, set your standards. And when I say set your standards, it could be 10 things that you want in a partner. And you meet that person, it could be one thing, just one thing that's off. And you say, oh, they got 9 things, it's okay, they got 9 characteristics, you know, it's all good. No, it's not. Because now you're gonna settle. And settling is a no. I'm telling you now, don't settle. If it's 10 things that you desire, and say it again, if it's 10 things that you desire in a partner, that person needs to have those 10 things. Do not absolutely, I'm telling y'all, don't settle. Please, I'm begging y'all, don't settle. Because that one thing could be that one thing that's going to cause you to go through a lot of things that you have no business going through. Trust me, I know.
Question is, I know there's been a lot of talk towards women and how women should protect themselves, but what about women as well? Because mental illness is prevalent then as well.
Every man should know how to protect himself. Every man. I don't care what your background is, you don't have to become a world champion, but every man should know how to protect himself and his family. Every man should have strategies set up for his family in the event that somebody comes trying to hurt him or his family. Men should be thinking about these things. Men have to also be mindful with obviously dealing with their spouse or whatever, or their girlfriend, whatever the case might be. You're stronger. Learn how to, restrain. Learn how to say, hey, you got to go. Fellas, learn how to say you got to go. You're not a punk for telling her that she got to get out. If she's abusive, you don't have to sit there and take abuse. You have power. The problem is we only talk about value of one and not talk about value of the other. Men have value. You have gold inside your body. You have precious jewels inside your body. Maybe you have something valuable. So protect it. Watch who you're with. Watch who you exchange your energy with. Watch who you're laying down with. This is important stuff. When you get into these situations where women become abusive with you, your masculinity is going to feel challenged. You're going to feel like, all right, I feel like I'm less than a man. Why does she feel that she can take it to this level with me? You're going to get called a punk. You're going to get called everything in the book because you won't tolerate it. Because why are you letting her do this? You don't have to stay. The same way she can walk away, you walk away. But don't lessen yourself and put yourself in jeopardy by trying to match energy. Your strength now comes from taking control. There's no woman that, if you're presenting yourself as a man, there's no woman that should feel comfortable to put her hands on you because you're projecting masculinity and truth.
Yeah, same thing, just as I was thinking, just walk away. If you have the habit to walk away, just walk away. If they don't match energy, nothing worth jeopardizing your freedom, nothing's worth jeopardizing your life. And if that's like you said too, tell them they can go. Let them go. Be okay with being alone. Be okay with letting them leave. Because if it's causing you stress, if it's causing you traumatic situations, if it's causing you anything that's throwing off your balance, then it's not worth it. Your peace is everything. We always talk about protecting our peace. Protect your peace. That's the value. That should be most important to you. Don't let anybody rock you off your peace. Don't let anybody disrupt your peace, disrupt your aura. And just let it go.
And speaking about peace, how do y'all protect y'all's peace?
For me, I like to go on vacation. I like to get away. Just to clear my mind, just to be in nature. Just because I feel like, life, as we watch it on social media or on TV, it's very depressing sometimes. So just to have those safe havens, like me, like I said, I get away, just to be alone myself, just to know what I'm doing, just to reflect. That's the things that I do to protect my peace, just to find that happiness by having place.
I like to go camp with myself, like hair done, nails done, feet done, everything did. I have to go. Ladies, is very important. Self-care is the best care. So pamper yourself and get your hair done, get your nails done, get your feet done. Just That's what I like to do. Yes.
I would say I like laughter. Like, I'm gonna find fun things to do. I keep myself engaged with things that make me happy. And I also had to learn that sometimes a lot of us have lights to us, like a light within us. And everybody doesn't deserve access to my light, right? And so what I've decided to do, sometimes I gotta drop a lot of dead weight, a lot of dead people. I love what the instructor told y'all earlier about getting a support system. What keeps my peace is I got a hell of a support system, y'all. Like, I got one person I call for this, I got one person for this, I got one person that, I have a support system. I love nature. Today I was at a prison speaking about mental health. And they had a lake there. And after I finished speaking to those probation officers, I went to the lake and walked around. And then I love music and dance. So if I can get some music on, I can just drive down the street. All I have is me in the car just driving, I'm happy. It gives me peace. And I don't let anybody disturb my peace. There might be moments in your day where you have to pray, like when I get up in the morning and I'm praying, or I'm going outside to listen to the, what do you call it, the rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo, whatever. And my husband knows, like, okay, baby, it's your time for prayer or whatever. You have to take time to create your peace, and you don't let anybody come in between that. That's another thing with the domestic violence and people trying to take away your peace. If they're trying to take away your peace and get you up to a level where he was saying match your energy, that's definitely not something I want. So that's what I do. Laughter, outside, oh, and I love travel too, but some dance and some music, because self-care does not have to cost a lot of money. So remember that self-care can be free. It starts with you.
I would say learning to be selfish. Learn to be selfish. Before I can be a husband, before I can be a father, I need to make sure I'm all right. So my beginning of my day starts with me. Serve, give thanks to the Creator for waking me up, and then spend time serving me. Spend time meditating, spend time thinking, spend time evaluating life, spend time laughing, spend time just getting to know you. And you have to dedicate that time before you open up your books and get pushed into this world to be a student, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, whatever it is you're striving to be selfish. Be selfish. And it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to be selfish with your time. It's okay to be selfish with your energy. It's okay to be selfish with your words. Nobody, nothing. It's you, because at the end of the day, people say they love you. Watch the actions. People say they care about your mental health. Watch the actions. People say they care about your spiritual development. Watch the actions. So be selfish with your time, and then surround yourself. My peace also comes from my family. I live a very hectic life, bodyguarding and things of that nature. I find peace in my wife and my children. That gives me peace. I find peace in teaching my students in martial science and things that nature. That's my peace. My community is my peace. So find places where you find love, energy, and it's true. You're gonna find great peace.
If I could have two people answer this. So what does a great exit plan look like?
I'm gonna say one word, safety plan.
Oh, safety plan.
Like the safety plan. The safety plan has everything from point A to point Z. Like it literally walks you through. If anybody needs access to a safety plan, I have my own, I created. I can walk you through it, how to fill it out, all of that stuff. But a safety plan is very, very, very important. Even if you're not going through DV, you still need to have access to it. Because you never know. You could be out going to the store and somebody can approach you and do something. I just a couple of years ago, let me share this real fast. Just a couple of years ago, I was coming out to the church and my tires were flat. I keep a magnet on the side of my car with the magazine and everything, contact information in case somebody needs to reach out. My tires were flat, all of them. And I said, I know they run over 4 nails in the street. Something, this is not right. And so I called 911. Officer came. He said, "Do you have problems with anybody?" I was like, "No." He said, "It looks like your tires were slick." He said, "This is your magnet?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You might want to take it off." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you are a target. And I said, I'm not doing that. He said, it's your choice, but you're a target because you're a domestic violence advocate. And I said, but if I take it off, what good is it gonna do to the community? I could be at a stoplight and somebody is in a situation, I don't know. And so I didn't take it off, it's still in my car. And I proceeded to wait for the tow company to come. A lady comes up to me and she said, was that your car? And I said, yes, do you know who did that? And she started crying. And she grabbed me and she embraced me. She said, I'm so sorry. And I said, what happened? And she said, he watched me. He watched me go to the side of your car to get the information. He sees me, he can hear me, everything. I said, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. And I gave her my information. I said, you don't have to cry, it's gonna be okay. But that's a prime example of why I say, even if you are not going through that type of situation, you still need to have a safety plan, access to it, because that is a prime example. I didn't know that lady from nowhere. How did I know she was going through something, right? I didn't know. So safety plan is, I'm saying it until I can't say it no more. It's very important. Very important.
To piggyback off what she said, safety plan covers a lot of things and it's very important. I want you all to be comfortable being limitless on that safety plan. Be limitless. When I teach my women's defense classes, look, if you bucks, goes to sleep. And I mean that. I mean that. I mean that. If you get into a situation and somebody's trying to take something from you that you cannot get back, be prepared to elevate the level so you can go home or you can get to safety. I don't want you all approaching these situations thinking that there's only but so far I can go to remain safe. Because when this person is motivated, and this person has the idea in their mind that you are no longer going to be able to go out, or I gotta exert my control over you, and I'm gonna take it to the level that you can't come back from. There's only, nobody's gonna come home. You are your first line of defense, and I keep stressing that, because a lot of times you watch movies and TV and they say, oh, well, just dial 911, or just allow. No, I don't want you to be having a reoccurring death. I don't want that. I want you to have power. I want you to take your power back in that moment. And if that person is trying to take something from you that you cannot replace, you know what I mean? Be prepared. Have it in your mind that you're the one who's got it. You hold the power and take it back. Okay?
That being said, does anybody in the audience have any questions for our lovely panelists? A question?
What do you recommend for students that have to walk these rounds at night? What are some safety ideas or tips that you can provide?
One of the main things you want to do is, once again, create a network. So if you have to walk at night, make sure that people know where you're going. That you're not just walking randomly at night and nobody knows that you're out. Make sure that you got people that you can trust, that know that, hey, she's walking from point A to point B, and she should be here by this time. So if I don't call you in the next 5 minutes, you know the area that I'm supposed to be in. So now you and Tina and Christy and whoever else, y'all get together, and hey, we need to come find her. We need to make sure that, hey, she's okay or she's safe. So get people that will ride for you when you're walking in these places at night. Do you guys have law enforcement out here on the campus?
Open carry campus as well. I mean, concealed carry.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now I can really say what I'm gonna say. Okay. Get on. Get on. Get on. Get trained to get armed. I didn't know how far I could go. Get armed to get trained, okay? I need you all to get armed and get trained. I mean that. There are close quarter weapons that you need to have. Get access to learning how to use knives. Get access to learning how to get to that weapon, to get to that gun. Don't just go to a gun range. You need to go to a place that is actively going to teach you how to shoot on the move under pressure. You need to go to a place that's going to teach you how to access that weapon. Don't just carry a knife. Know how to get to it. Know how to use it. Know how to know points of the body that you need to insert that weapon. In the event that, God forbid, somebody's coming to attack you, you guys follow my pace, I'll put you all through that whole course. If you want to take my online course, everybody who's here right now, I put you all through the course so that way you have these are the things that if you guys are allowed to carry on campus or as you're walking, whatever, oh man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Absolutely.
And make sure you guys are in your bags, you have a retractable banner, a purple one. So make sure you wear it when you're out so people can see you. Y'all have whistles and all that fun stuff in there too. And let me just add another fun thing. Damien gave me this idea. I hadn't thought about it, but as Brittany was saying, and the young lady, when she read my bio, I created the first domestic violence board game globally. So 10 of you all are going to be getting blessed with a free board game. So if you have the card in there, it'll tell you, hey, congratulations, and give you different scenarios that you can go through, and what to do and what not to do. It even has resources on there as well. So, well, congratulations to the 10 students that got the card. Anybody else have questions?
Not really a question, but GSUP also does escort services. I use them a lot.
Okay, they're good.
Yeah.
Alright, so up here on the board, we have an open discussion. So what behaviors may appear as loving, protective, or normal in college relationships, or are actually red flags of manipulation or control? And anybody, y'all can answer, and the panelists can answer as well.
Just like simple talk, like I'm gonna go on my teammates, like I'm going out, but my man wanna talk and try to like run over into my time to keep me in the house so I don't go out with my friends and whatnot. No, this ain't happening for like.
That's a sign.
Yeah, like
That's
that's not
definitely
like
a sign.
control or something.
Yep, that's a sign.
I'm sorry, okay. I think another one too is like, let's just say you get into an argument with your significant other, and you immediately like start buying the gifts and stuff. I think that's a sign of control. Like, just because we got into an argument, don't mean we go buy them like something that I wanted and this and that and the third. Because I also feel like that's like later on they're gonna A, throw it back in your face, and B, like it's gonna be like, oh, I paid for your nails, so you gotta be here at the time I say this, that, and the third. It's like, no.
Yeah, and I would say another one is like if you're, I just had it on the top of my head, but if I think about it, I'll say it again, guys. But does anybody else have anything that y'all would like to add to that?
The over like love Tommy stuff,
yes,
like it's so bad. Like that is number one, like just go. Because yeah, it's overwhelming amount of manipulation, like it's just a whole bunch of manipulation. And then also the phone thing, like them constantly wanting like access to your phone or knowing what you're doing on your phone, that too, yeah.
And I would say always wanting to be with your partner. Like, why every day am I with you? Don't you have something else to do?
I would like to add on that everybody can answer. That also, when you bring up like an issue about, how can I say it? Like when you bring up the issue that you have where somebody acts and they're like, well, I can't change that. Well, that's just who I am. That's a sign of your manipulation too. Because like you definitely can change that. You just don't want to. And you can't blame your past trauma. And you can't, sorry, you can't blame your past trauma. You can't blame your father. You can't blame your mother. Like that's just who you are, but you can change that. And you just don't want to take the time to. You don't care about being that specific thing.
I feel like overly, yeah, because I'm almost sure I really didn't know about a lot of manipulation tactics. One thing I did notice, one is like, just being super vulnerable with you like from the beginning, like just trying to tell you everything that you feel bad or like guilt trip you and stuff, that was really wrong for me, yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen to me, but we were friends. But that's weird. Like, why? But another question is, if someone realizes they are losing their peace or safety in a relationship, what steps should they take immediately to regain control and seek help?
Most definitely, I feel like in those type of situations, those type of situations, I feel like that's when you get counseling. You know, try to find someone you can talk those emotions out with. That way it doesn't trickle off into your relationships, it doesn't trickle off into your friendships, into your livelihoods and things of that nature. Find somebody you can talk to, find somebody you can vent to kind of get that out. Because sometimes we bottle up so many different things until we're ready to just burst, and that's when it's too late. So just trying to regain that peace, talk to somebody, figure out what's triggering you. What are your triggers? What's making you go left, or what's compromising your peace? Using those tactics that we have talked about today, finding you a group, somebody or a group of people that you can all talk about different things, talk about what's going on, talk about what you're going through. Especially that, because a lot of people don't have people to vent to, people don't have family, people don't have friends. So just finding establishing a group or someone that you can vent to will help you out to regaining your peace and trying to maintain your peace, especially in heated situations.
I would say a support group, and as I'm thinking about it, and having two daughters that are in college, and having a young adult stepson too, it's harder for y'all sometimes to take it from us. And so I really want to encourage y'all, just like y'all have clubs here for science and how you have this club, some of you need to go get some training and some knowledge and even share your own stories with people like you so they can understand. Y'all want to listen to each other. That's what y'all do. So I think groups that you see yourself represented. So, for instance, when I went to a support group after I left that marriage, I was sitting in a support group and I was like, yeah, that's right. But I wasn't around those kind of people because, see, I was around women that was telling me, oh girl, just pray about it. See, they were unhappy and unhealthy. So it's important to get into groups that are healthy, that might look like you, that represent more who you are so you can actually relate to and help each other. And that's one of the things I think is very important for young adults, because y'all be like, yeah, but you don't even understand what my vibe is and what I'm abbreviating. So it's important that y'all find, when I Google that, they're like, how do you know that? It's because I Googled it. And then I say, oh girl, that means whatever. But y'all know each other. So if I said, I experienced domestic violence and this is what it looked like for me, y'all might be like, yeah, that's what it looked like for me too. So it's just, this group alone is really inspired and encouraged me, because I'm always thinking that y'all need people that are your age and a little older to mentor or to support each other. And then y'all need the self-defense too, for real. I think both of those things together, y'all will be good.
And make sure that the person is listening is not just, you don't want a listener, you want a non-judgmental listener. And there's a difference. A non-judgmental listener is somebody who's gonna listen to you, be quiet, and listen to what you're talking about, what you're going through, and all of that, without saying, girl, it couldn't be me, you crazy, it couldn't be me, I would've did so-and-so, because the truth is, a person don't know what they would do unless they're in that situation. So there's a difference between a listening and a non-judgmental. You do not want a listener, you want a non-judgmental listener.
Make sure that you're around people that are going to hold you accountable too. When you go to get counseling, don't go to your best friends who's always going to say, like she just said, is going to give you all the sweet words. No, you need somebody that's older, that's going to say, I agree with you here, but you dropped the ball here. That's going to make you check yourself as well. So it's not always about passing blame to somebody else to make you feel good about the situation you're in. Sometimes truth hurts. Sometimes accountability hurts. Sometimes accountability makes you actually reevaluate the whole situation and say, dang, I was wrong. And we have to be okay with it. Okay? So that's part of it as well.
So when you guys mentioned therapy, because personally for me, I would say like when I went into therapy, everybody told me, okay, try therapy. But me being naive, like I'm not knowing there's different types of therapy. So going straight in, I just got a regular therapist, and I'm like, it's like I'm paying for a friend. So I advise everyone in here to make sure you do your research on what type of therapist you need, because you may need a different type of therapist that everyone switches.
Hi. I know I have problems with this, and a lot of people or a lot of women I can have problems with this is judging whether something is bad enough to leave or bad enough to get the situation off. So I would say
like keep screenshots, like keep them in like a little secret app on your phone, because like we talk about like, it never looks as bad when you're in it, than when you're like looking back and like reflecting on like, damn, this been going on for 8 months, like damn, this been going on for a year, or like this happened then, and then it happened then. And it's just like, sometimes our minds can like block certain things out or make things seem different or not as bad as they were. But when you have proof like that you have, you know, your pictures, your writing, like it makes it easier for one, for you to remember, and like if it gets to that point, you can take it to official. Cause like it's very hard to get people to like convict you like domestic violence crime. So it helps when you have like proof over a long period.
Need the paper trail. It's what's on.
So I know you mentioned specifically, that men should be able to protect themselves, so my question is kind of basically how should they be able to protect their mental? So I feel like in black men it's really hard to know or to accept help in terms of your mental health. So say if a man's in a verbal abusive like relationship and he doesn't want to get help because he doesn't want to seem like, oh, I don't want to talk about my feelings, or oh, that should hurt my feelings, or that should make me feel a type of way. So how would you advise somebody like that to navigate that situation?
It needs to be around older men. It needs to be around older men who understand and know how to navigate those walks. Because unfortunately right now, our young men have been closed off from emotion. And it's trauma that is passed on from this quote-unquote slave concept to where we can't express ourselves. So that limited part of our history has now projected itself to the masses. And our young men have taken on or adopted this slave concept of keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, and just take the trauma, take the trauma, take the trauma. And now as he begins to take the trauma, that trauma spills over into the relationship, you see? And now she's trying to help him navigate, because she truly loves him, she's gonna try to help him navigate. But she doesn't know how to help him navigate because being a man is different. So what he needs to do is he needs to be able to sit down with older men who have walked that walk and who have survived that walk, and that are able to help him articulate his feelings, help him express himself. But he's got to get in touch with that feminine nature. Feminine doesn't mean woman, it means the softer side of self, to make him vulnerable to his intuitive nature, to make him vulnerable to his spiritual nature. These are the things that men need to accept, because everything's too hard. I can't cry. I can't show emotion. I can't show you that I'm hurt. I can't tell you that I'm hurt. I can't tell you that hurt my feelings, because that makes me look like a punk. It makes me look soft. So what do I do to fix it? I don't show that, so I show the most aggressive side that I have, because that makes me feel secure in my manhood. Most men, it's killing them to express themselves in that nature to a woman. I promise you, it is. But they're so broken, and there's so much trauma that's resting inside of them that they don't know any other way, because there's no communal support. Community support is not just for our sisters. Brothers need places where they can go where it's just men, but we don't want to talk about y'all. We don't even want to talk to y'all. We just want to be amongst men and live amongst men for 30 minutes to an hour, to where, hey, how was your day today? How's your spirit today, brother? How's your energy today, brother? Man, the job got me. This got me. That got me. So now when you're around other men that are navigating the same thing, or other men who have been through the same thing, they can tell you, oh, that's going to be better. Oh, that's just temporary. Or that's something serious we need to really sit down and talk about. But whatever it is, you need to support. I tell you, and I think the theme of this whole thing is community. Let's throw the word support out. Let's throw that out. Let's talk community. Let's talk about the aspect of us being amongst one another in a spiritual, a emotional security, a physical security. Because if we were truly in our tribal nature, these kind of talks and these kind of meetings, you would go to your hut, I would go to mine, you would go to your place, I would go to mine, whatever the case might be, and we would all be able to continuously mingle. I would be able to leave my wife here amongst all the men or women, and nobody would bother. You would be able to leave your children, I would be able to leave my children. We would all feel protected and safe. We got to return that concept. So let's throw out support group. Let's start talking community, because community means love. Community means safety. Community means security. We gotta get back to that. So that's what men need. They need that community aspect so that way we can navigate as we evolve as well.
Anybody have any more questions that y'all would like to ask our panelists? Okay. Thank you, panelists, so much. Let's give another round of applause.